back. Sorry I missed you guys last Monday. As I mentioned, there was a little bit of an issue with my travel plans. And instead of coming back on Sunday, I ended up leaving on Monday, and the Wi-Fi was not up to par for me to do a live lecture. But having said that, I was preparing that anyway, so I have the videos uploaded for you guys to watch in case we did miss anything. And today I'll do a good review of the things that we kind of didn't cover in person. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll switch my camera over. Once morning, and as always, I'll just cover my screen here, and we're going to make sure here. So the links that I did send you were covers, if not more than the actual material that we're going to cover. It's a good depth coverage of some of the web stuff in the actual lesson. So it was in one of the announcements that I posted the week before. Okay, so there's two links there. So those cover some of the videos that you all need to watch. So if you haven't, please do so. This one covers placing images, and this one covers slicing. They're both important to know, but today's lesson will be more important because I'm going to show you how to actually export the assets for the website, okay? So these are good to know. It's just extra breadth of knowledge for you to take with you learning Photoshop and web stuff. But I'm going to kind of summarize that today in one lesson and just cover the important stuff, which is the assets, which is part of your project's expectations in 2 weeks from now. Okay. And as I mentioned to you earlier, with the timing, we're doing okay. I did a lot of the teaching beforehand, knowing that this might happen, and we're not really behind in any way. The only thing is the last week, instead of presentations, we'll probably do like the last class instead. Okay, that's week 15. I don't think you guys are doing presentations this semester anyways. Maybe next semester you'll be doing portfolio presentations because it'll be your last semester. This is your first semester. Okay, so having said all that, let's go back ahead and let's go here and look at some of the content. Okay, so we do have, I guess I should unlock the class 12 module. So this is the stuff you want to be looking at: generating image assets link, website desktop to mobile conversion, and basic website homepage. This is just some of the sample files that are there. And we're also going to look at some of the previous files that we left off on. Maybe I can just download them again here quickly to reference exactly what I'm looking at. So this is the I think it's the template. Let's try this one here, the website template. I think I have I wish they did like a preview of what it looks like. If not, I'll get the other one. So this was the wireframe, okay? So I do want you to deliver this wireframe also to show me that you know how to execute the planning phase of designing the web page. This is important because after this comes the image placements. And those are the two videos that I sent you on how to do. And I'm going to go over that right now quickly so you can understand how that's done as well. So let's do the website mockup next. I'm going to download that one. And this was an example of how you can put together a website using different image placement techniques and things like that, or just an example how websites can be, you know, designed in Photoshop. This is an uncompleted sample file, but the reason is to show you how the 12-column grid works, similar to how we build our template. The only difference is we have our, you know, graphics and stuff placed in order, right? So look, 12 columns here and 12 columns there. This is an actual, it's like a restaurant website. So if you look at the some of this contents here, like this is like a content box. This pretty much can go here, This can go over here, and this can go over here, and this can go over there. So it's all laid out using like the layers techniques in Photoshop to build these websites, right? This is more like a professional template website I found online to show you how it works. Okay. Let me get this text in here too. I'm just using shortcuts to bring stuff to the front and to the back, right? So using like the 12 column grid, you can basically do almost anything in terms of design on how you want the website to look like. So once this is all done, you can see the benefits, what happens afterwards. Now, this is just an example. I don't want to even continue working on this one just to show you what the file was. I'd rather work on a cleaner version of this design and then take it to the next level, okay? What's the other one here? Desktop mobile PSE. That's just an example mock-up, I think, that we left in there as well. If you have to create like a mobile version of the website, all you're doing is converting it to like a fraction of the width. And basically the concept's the same. You got the header, the body, and the footer. It's just it's more elongated vertically. You're using like more like a 1 column or 2 column maximum span for that one. Okay. I think it's mostly 1 column. So it's a 1 column span for that one there. I want to upload another file for us to look at here. This one, your website to desktop conversion. I just download it here for you guys. These are the image sources. I'll use these as reference for us. And we're also going to use maybe, so the video that you were watching, well, that I sent you guys last week was the video on how to put this one together. And I think this one also was another example. So I'm going to quickly cover this in this video as well. But watch those videos, please. The 2 links that I sent you, watch those videos because they cover this stuff in depth from step to step, how to do this stuff. Because I'm such a perfectionist, I want to make sure I show you in person in case you have questions along the way as well. So we'll upload this file here for you, the image sources. I think you should have that there in case you want to attempt to build this website here that we built, okay? I'm going to copy this also, okay? And this was just another template, very similar to the one we did here last Wednesday, the previous Wednesday. Alrighty, so let me upload these quickly here for you under class number 12. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to compress this folder for you here so you can easily upload it or download it. Image sources.zip. Okay, so there's that file. And I'll show you, and the other file will also be there so you can kind of have a reference of how that was built. And the other one is this one here, okay? So like I said, we'll just convert this to look like that. So you can kind of see how similar we can build any website from a wireframe model, okay? And again, those videos are very important if you watch them because they're going to show you step by step how to get this point done. Okay, so I'm going to save that one as well. And that's also visible. All right. Well, let's start off with the wireframe model because this is the last time we did this together 2 Wednesdays ago, right? So basically what happens from this point onwards is about placing your graphics and images, right? So what I'm going to do here is just go over some of the important stuff again. I'm going to get rid of these files here. Remember, the 12 column setup is very important because that's what the default structure is for the common denominator, because 12 is divisible by 4, by 3, by 6, by 2. That's why we use a 12 column grid. Very simply, it's under guide layouts in Photoshop. Okay, so this is where we kind of left off, and then based on that, we build these building blocks. We put the number 12 here instead of 10. We did 12, and we're able to get that done. Secondly, everything we placed here extended to that particular parameter. So this rectangle here, which was done by using the rectangle tool, we just simply drew a rectangle, right, like that, and we colored it whatever color you wanted it, and you made it basically the exact width as the columns. Sometimes we were making it, let's say you want to do, I don't know, half and half, or you want to do like, you know, quarters, like 3, 3, and 3, because 3 times 4 is 12. This is how we built this thing, this whole thing here, right? So these are all basically blocks in here in Photoshop, okay? And these are all the blocks. We also structured it in such a way so it's organized. So you have like things like the header, and the header consisted of the actual carousel and the hero banner. And then you have the body, which is the bottom portion. And then you have the footer, which is all the information, site links, and things like that. So all the details you want to add can all go in those folders, okay? This is how we set it up. So this was done again. We have a video of this also, okay? So if you watch the video, I'll go over thoroughly how to build this from the last lab. So if you look at our YouTube channel, the YouTube channel that we have here, I want to make sure you guys all have the resources ready. This was the last video we did for this class, was the lab 10, how to build that. But the extra links I gave you gives you access to my other YouTube channel that I have on how to take that step further, which we missed last week, okay? So if you go to that link that I gave you, which is under the announcements, video lecture links, okay? Those 2 links show you how to put all the images and all the nice stuff. So please watch those 2 videos, because I basically go over that stuff. See, and I show you another. That's just an example of the truck website. You don't have to worry about that. See, look, I do it right from scratch. Okay, I'll show you examples. I even build another wireframe example. I go right to placing those images, the same image sources that I gave you in here today. Okay, so you can kind of see the content. It's right under your Photoshop module, right? So these are the image sources I use, okay? So you can use those to follow those 2 lectures. I apologize if I didn't include that in there. I thought you could have used any image sources. It doesn't have to be those. But in case you want to keep everything up to the rhythm, then you can use those. So watch those 2 links, please. And now let's see how I basically, in a nutshell, let me just explain this a little more in person, since a lot of you showed up today. I want to, in case you have questions, to ask me. So first off is, how do you change colors, right? So colors are easy, because you just select the rectangle like this, you identify the layer that it's on, and you simply just, you can go to the properties, and the fill is right here based on the properties of the rectangle. So if you want to change it to, let's say, red or some other color, you can change it doing that, okay? So it's all under properties and the layer. So if you click on this one, for example, it's this layer. This one is that layer. All that resides in the header panel. So it's nicely organized in the header. How do you make these groups again? So after you make a lot of layers, let me just ungroup for a second. Ungroup layers, okay? See, when you have a bunch of layers sitting there, the trick is you want to make sure you put them all together in a group, like a folder, so they're nicely organized. So the quickest way to do that is you press Command or Control G, okay? And that's how you make a folder. And this, we called it header, okay? So if you open that folder, it's like a little collapsible list view from a folder perspective. You can see all the layers that reside there, okay? So that's how you make the folder and stuff. Okay, so again, that video was done here 2 weeks ago, so nothing to waste too much more time on. Placing images is those videos that I showed you. Let's place an image into this carousel here. We're going to put a carousel design. How do you place an image in there? There's 2 ways to do it, okay? One way is to go to File, Place Embedded, or Place Linked. I prefer embedded, because then the file becomes part of the document. If you place it linked, you have to remember where the original source is. And in case you want to change it from there, it'll instantly change it in your design. Okay. So this was a new feature added a few years ago. Photoshop didn't have 2 placements options. It was only place. There was no place embedded or place link. There was just one thing called place. And the original one was this one, place embedded. So stick with the original way to do it. Place embedded or just place. And you go to the desktop. We're going to go to the image assets or image sources here. And I'll place one of these images here, right? So I'm looking at the image. It's nice and big. Make sure the images are optimized. If you're using images, graphics for your websites, make sure they're well above 1200 pixels, especially for the big carousel. Sometimes 1600 pixels, right? So I'm going to grab this one here. Go ahead. And I place the picture. And then you place the picture on top. You stretch it out as big as you want it. You put it on top of this box here. Now look at the image is on top of that box there like that, right? All you have to do is basically do this, okay? You hold Option and you click right between the image and the little box underneath it. Like this, Option, click. If you don't like to get fancy, you can also do a right click and create a clipping mask. Clipping mask is the same terminology we use in Illustrator. Remember in Illustrator, the difference is the box was in front of the image and you made a clipping mask selecting both of them. In Photoshop, it's different. You put the image on top of the box, you right click on the image and you make a clipping mask that way. So the process is different. The outcome is the same. So once you do a clipping mask, the image goes in there and now you can just move the image wherever you like within the box, right? And that's how you can basically put images inside the boxes, right? Let's do one more. Let's do this one here. So first you do the move tool, click on this box here. I'm selecting this one, literally click on it, identify it from the layers panel, make sure it's there. You can even invisible, visible, make sure the box is selected. Let's do another file, a place embedded, okay? And I'll use this example over here, this one. Okay, I put the image. Sometimes it gets a little messy when you have way too many things happening. Just be careful how you grab things and move things around, right? So I'm going to resize this close to my proximity here, right? Press enter. So the image is there. More importantly, where is it there in terms of the layer positioning? That's why I'm very careful to click on the box and then the image. If you don't do that, if you just place the image, who knows where it's going to end up, right? It might end up all the way in the header layer. So be careful, okay? Always click on the target first. So then you click on the image, you right click. Remember, you don't right click here, okay? Nothing's going to happen if you right click here. You're going to right click on the image from the layer panel. You right click here and you create a clipping mask, okay? That's how you do it. All right? So again, these are little things that you got to be careful. Don't just go file, place the next one. Click on the target. So if this is the target here, let's do this one. Let's say this is the target here, this box here, then make sure you click on it. Make sure it's identified in the layer panel. Then you go to File, Place Embedded. Let's grab another one here. Okay, double click. Usually if it's bigger than whatever, just hold Shift and resize the picture. Grab any parameter you want. As long as you hold Shift or, yeah, Shift for PC and Mac. And then you do this, you should be okay. Or just grab the corners, press Enter, it's resized. Identify the image, it's right there. Right click. Oh, you can even go here, layer. Watch this. You can also do clipping mask this way. Okay, create clipping mask. There's even a shortcut. I think it's Option Command G. And that's how you put a clipping mask in there, right? Or you can just do Option click. I like Option clicking because that creates a clipping mask directly from the layer within the box that's underneath it. So you can go Alt click instead of right click clipping mask. Okay. All right, good. Now, Photoshop over the years evolved and said, wait a minute, there's got to be a better way to put images inside boxes. So why are we doing clipping masks here, right? Because sometimes they interfere with other ways. So what happened was, let me show you the next way. The next way is you click on this box over here, okay? And you convert it to a frame, like a placement holder. The same terminology we use in page layout. I'm sure they use it in web design as well. placement holders, and then you put real images. So you click on this, let's call it a placement holder. You can right click, oh, right click doesn't work again. You go to layer and you convert it to, gotta remember where this was here. Layer content options. Unless it's over here on the right. Let me try it this way here. I know it's there. Convert to frame, okay? So if you don't want to use this old school clipping mask stuff, because it's been working for the past 25 years, right? If you don't want to use that method, the new method now is this one here, convert to frame. If you convert to frame, what happens is this now becomes a frame to place a picture into. Let's call it rectangle 3 copy. That's fine. Okay. Now, because I have this layer on top of it, it kind of messed me up a bit. So let me just quickly, I think you should stick with one method. Don't mix the two up, because then the problem is this image is overlapping this area and it automatically placed it in there. So I got to pick maybe, I don't know, maybe let's do this one. Or I should have locked those to prevent this from happening. Let's try this one here. So I click on this one, you right click, and you convert to frame right here, right in the middle. Convert to frame. I did it again. Because this image is overlapping here. This is why it gets a little messed up sometimes. I'm going to move this image all the way up here like that. There we go. Now I should do it. One last time. Convert to frame. Okay. So now it's a frame. It'll look like this, like a box with X in it. What that means is you can actually drag and drop an image inside. Like you're probably doing this right now with Figma and XD kind of thing, right? So what you do is you move this over and you can literally go inside your image sources and you can pick an image like this one, right? And grab it and put it right inside. So you can do that, okay? So if that's your other method of doing it, I don't think it's a big deal, but it's kind of nice, the fact that you can drag and drop and you can then resize. The difference is, look how this is laid out. Having an image in a clipping mask looks like this. So it's taking up more layer space that way. So if I can give this a positive review or give it like a pro instead of a con, it takes up less space. I think it's easier to manage as well, because you can select either the box or you can select the content in the box, right? That's how this is set up basically. My point is to you, you can use either or, but don't mix it. Okay, try to stick with one, because you see the problems I had 2 attempts ago with that one because it was overlapping. The other one, so what are you doing? Are you doing frame or are you doing clipping mask, right? Stick to one method here. So stick with one method. Now, some people like to convert boxes from scratch. This is another method I like to use. So let's say, let's use this one as a target, this box here. So let's say you have a box like this. You're saying, well, how do you make these things from scratch? Why do you have to make a vector shaped rectangle? And then why do you have to convert it to a frame? And then, so you don't have to do all that. You can just use the frame tool. So ladies and gentlemen, the frame tool is right here. Lo and behold, the newest addition to the Photoshop family. This is called the frame tool. There's nothing else but that tool. So if you guys want to build a website using this tool, you can. You just click on it like this. Look, you draw a frame like this. I'll just copy this. I just drew a frame on top of that box, and I can just go and drag a picture right inside there. So I'm just drag and drop like that. So that works too, right? Let me do it one more time. This time I'm gonna delete even the frame. I'll even delete what was there. So even this box, let's say this box was non-existent. Let's say nothing is there. You can just use the frame tool to put pictures in it. You understand? You don't have to have a gray box or a wireframe model set up. You can do this right from start. So let's go ahead and make a clean looking. So there's the frame tool. I'm going to go ahead and create a frame like this, right? So there's my frame. So you draw a frame with the frame tool. And again, I covered this in great detail in those 2 videos I sent you. So if you guys watch these videos, you will see how I did this repeatedly with the whole exercise, okay? So I'm just doing a quick little review because you guys are here in person. I'm gonna then, once this is done, you can then go file, place, or you can just drag and drop. Whatever, some people like dragging and dropping. Some people like being more methodical and going place embedded and then going to the actual content and selecting the image, and that gets placed in there. When you do that, though, you might have to, resize the content and just Control T, right? Press enter, and now you have the content, or you have the box. You have 2 things. Okay, depend what you're selecting, right? So again, remember, this is the content, that's the box. If you want to edit the content, you click on the content thumbnail, you press Command or Control T, and then you can actually go ahead and enhance the size of the content in the box, right? If you want to do both, then you select both of them. To select both, I think you select over here in the blank space, and that means you can now go ahead and drag the whole box around your design, right? So you have 3 options: the frame, the content, or both of them. Because it makes 2 styles, I got to be careful now because of this overlapping image. So I'm just gonna go, maybe I'll lock this one. See, to prevent this from happening in case you do want to mix styles, okay, what you want to do then is say, listen, if you're gonna, then you can just go ahead and hit the lock. But if you hit the lock button, it's not gonna jump to this frame thing that I'm doing, okay? Even this one here, I should like just lock it for now. But these other ones should be okay. So let's convert this one to a frame right now. So, or just make a new one again. Let's just go ahead and practice making a new frame from here to there. Here's a new frame that I made. This time I'll drag and drop. I'm going to go here and drag and drop this image here. Okay, drag and drop. This one here again, you can convert it to a frame instead of making a frame, whichever way you want to take this. Right click, convert to frame, or just make a frame, right? Drag and drop. Right? And what do you want to do with the last one? You want to do a clipping mask or frame? What do you guys want to do? Clipping mask again? Okay. So let's do a clipping mask. So I'm selecting first target, select the target, right? This is the rectangle. So I'm going to go and place it. So now that I selected it, there's the rectangle. I'm going to go, don't drag and drop on this one. If you want to do a clipping mask, go file, place. Drag and drop works better with the frames, with the little boxes. For this one, you want to go file, place embedded, and then we're going to select, which one haven't we done? This one here. There we go, nice and big. So we're gonna go resize it, place it right over there, right? Press enter, and basically hold Option and click between the 2 layers, or just right click on the layer and produce a clipping mask, and that's gonna fit it nicely there. So again, stick with one method. I find both to be confusing because my job is to show you the most practical methods. So I don't want to deprive you by showing you one way, not the other way, because some people prefer one way, some people prefer the other way. So I want you to make that decision. I don't want to tell you how to do it, right? You can do it this way or that way, which as long as it works as a website, you can create the whole schematic. The last thing I'll do to this bottom layer is just convert the actual property here to a different color model. Okay, so I'll just pick something like that. I'll leave it at light gray. All right. So that's how I built this thing. And again, if you watch those videos I sent you, it goes through this. I spent 2 hours doing this in step by step. I just don't want to find this 2 hours to spend. Again, we can watch the video, right? So I'm going to close this down right now. Let's close it down. Let's save it. Sure. Let's do another save as. This one will be called image placements. So this is the image placements example. I can even upload this one if you want for reference, so you can see how that one's done. All right. Now, you say, okay, this is good. How do you make this a website? Well, how do you make this an actual website now, right? How good is this for me for building a website? So the benefit is not only you have the design in place, think of all the steps you can save. Like when you're dealing with clients or a design team, you have to go through steps. Like, okay, what do we want? Let's put a splash banner there. I want to put 4 products over here, 2 carousels over here, social media thing there. You got to design it somehow. So this is a lot faster to make, I think, than doing the actual website itself. Developing the website could be more work. So once this is approved, it's easy then for you to build this into a website. You can just see the calculation, 2 rows, 3 rows, 1 column, 3 column, 1 section, 2 section, and you just put the images in there. But the images are going to be already served for you. So now our job is to convert these images, web-ready images. So I covered another lesson in that video if you watch it. Either you can slice it. Now slicing is old school. Slicing is, I'll quickly show you. I'm not going to waste time doing it again because in that video, the last video I posted, the second one, but just to show you how slicing works. Because back in the day, we can make a website in Photoshop without any, and people, my graphic design students loved it because they didn't have to do any HTML coding, just minor like center, BG color, simple things like links and stuff, right? Because back then we didn't care about mobile. We didn't have smartphones. We had Blackberries, right? We had the Nokias and the Samsungs and stuff, right? So back then the websites were simple. So then we did this. This was the template I made for the video that I showed you. Same thing I did today, except more images. I used a black background. I put some text in there. And the text, again, you're going to do it in HTML. You're not going to do the text in Photoshop. But I did that just for aesthetic purposes. But what I also did was I implemented the slice tool. And the slice tool is basically using this slice little method to basically cut this up into pieces. So I cut up this is a piece, this is a piece, and I just drew these little pieces with the slice tool. Again, it's in that video. And then what we did after is I went to File. I saved it, of course. Export. I went Save for Web. When I saved it for web, what I did was, I'll do it again, right? I went to the First, I made the width smaller. 1600 pixels was a little too big for my resolution. So I went to, actually, it might work in this case because I have the projector minimizing my resolution anyways. I'll just do 1500 to be safe. So I just changed the width to 1500 and I optimized the parts of the website. So this piece here, okay, I optimized as a PNG 8. Why? Because I purposely used the pattern because it has 3 colors, 4 colors. I picked an 8-bit depth resolution. Look at the size, 98 kilobytes down here. So this is how you optimize graphics for your websites. Next one, the menu, the nav bar, you're going to do that in HTML and CSS. So don't worry about that, or JavaScript, whatever. So forget that, skip that part altogether. Just for the preview purposes, PNG 8 should do the trick. This is a graphic now. This is going to be your maybe carousel, a background hero image. This one is high definition image detailed file. I'm going to use a JPEG calibration. And look, there's only 3 or 4 modes you got to be concerned with: PNG, JPEG, or GIF. GIF we'll do next week. You know why we do GIF? We're going to do animation. We're going to do motion design with GIFs. Okay, so we got 2 weeks left. We'll do nice fun classes with animations and GIFs to put inside the websites. So we'll do that after. But for now, all you're doing is PNG or JPEG. Now there's another PNG called 24. 24-bit means millions of colors. 8 is 256. 256 is not really adequate when it comes to rich graphics. So by default, you should use 24 for transparencies and other things. So, but for images like this, JPEG's better because look at the size, 167K. Now, why is this important? Because it's your job to optimize the graphics for the website. If your website is beautiful and the images are too big, the website's gonna load too slow. Look at all the data it's going to eat up on people's mobile phones. We all pay data, right? You pay 50, 40 gigs a month. They charge you for that, right? You pay 50, 40 bucks a month for 30 gigs of data, right? So think about that. You're using people's data on their phone, plus you're making your website slow, and Google doesn't like slow websites. Your index now dropped 10 spots in the Google search engine. So all these things matter when it comes to SEO, search engine, image optimization, using the right file names. So that means your job is to do this part properly. So you would select this image here, okay? JPEG high quality. Because if I go maximum quality, 124 kilobytes. But the difference is going to be not much between maximum and very high. See, I don't see any difference. But if you go low, yeah, sure, the size is 11K, but the compromise is bad resolution. So I would not go below medium or high. Stick with high or very high. Those are my two favorites, okay? So JPEG high or very high. If the image is very, very large, go with very high. So just stick with this one, okay? And that gives you reasonable, look, 62K. What's 62K? Not much, right? So anyways, you do all that. You go through image by image. You optimize. You can even do multiple. Like if I know these are JPEGs, I'll go shift, select all four and do them all one time. And I'll say, listen, I want them all to be JPEG, very high quality, right? So that's how you optimize the graphics. And then when you're all done optimizing, what's this one here? JPEG, JPEG, JPEG. This is PNG because it's a call to action. It's got a blue box with white text. That one I did 24. So make it nice and sharp. So 24-bit. This one's also 20. This one's 24 as well. All has an image. It's fine. And this one also I did 8. Okay. Now, all in all, when I do select all like this, guess how big the whole website file is? 880 kilobytes. It's still under 1 meg, the whole website, which is pretty good, right? So if you go through that thoroughly, you can do all this. And again, this is covered more in detail in that video I sent you. So I'm just repeating myself here because you guys are here, I'm showing you guys the examples. So once you do all that, what happens next? You hit save. Let's go to the desktop here. Let's always make a new folder when you do this. And by the way, this is not part of your hand-in project. This is an extra thing I want you to know for your own self, okay? This is not what you guys are handing me in. What you're giving to me is the Photoshop file with the assets that we're gonna generate after this example here. So I'm gonna do that next, okay? So this folder is gonna be called, let's call it Web Ready folder. Now watch this. They still left it there. Since 2004 to 2024, they still have this HTML and images option. And you can also do XHTML. You can also convert it to div tags if you want, but it's just going to be more work for you guys to convert websites from slices to HTML. So I'm just going to leave it simple. I'm going to use what's called the good old tables. Tables is how we used to make website design layouts before div tags came out and Flexbox and all these other modern methods of semantic markups, right? Bootstrap, right? All the stuff like before that came out because we didn't have smartphones. Like we had, remember the Blackberries and the Nokias and stuff like that. So therefore, this was acceptable. So we did, okay, save. I'm going to call this index.html. We're going to go ahead and save this file, and this is going to be all done. So that was the purpose of why I did the slicing. Because if you show a client a website, this takes you like, I don't know, maybe 4 hours to design a basic design to say, hey, do you like this? Before I go building a website and charge you for 50 hours of my work, I'd rather prepare 4 hours of or presentation for you to agree is what you want. So this is why you want to do this as a pitching tool to sell the website. Because you don't want to build a website and say, do you like the website? That doesn't work like that. They're going to say, no, I don't like the website. Why did you put the picture there? Why did you use that color? Why did you use that logo? So you do the design first. Once it's approved, then you can go ahead and develop the website. So that's why you're doing these preliminary steps, the grayscales, the images and stuff. Okay. Yes, and I'll demonstrate that next. So just like I showed you the frame tool and the clipping mask, the two methods, I'm also showing you two methods of this. First, I'll show you the old school way. And you guys don't have to do this. If you guys don't want to do this, like, I don't have to do this. I'd rather do it my way and do like a Figma prototype or something. That's fine too. Because that also demonstrates to the client how the website can look like in Figma. You can use Figma too, but Photoshop has its own unique way because Photoshop then exports the assets too, right? Which I'll show you next. So watch this. Web ready folder. Okay, here's the index HTML. Let's open it up. There's the website. So it opens it up in the browser. The only thing is it's not centered, right? But everything, all the slices is, look, see, all the slices are done. That's what the slice tool does. And it looks like a real web. People, if you show this to an average person on the street, they'll think it's a website, okay? But we know it's not a website. It's just a mock-up of a design of what it might be a website, right? So now let's see how this, let's look at the guts of this. The guts, huh? It's good. Which one? Yeah, yeah. Oh, you want to see it? So you ready for this one? Right click, open with brackets. I use brackets because it's an old school program. I have, you guys can use Visual Studio, whatever, right? Here's the code. Look, this is it. So you can say, thank you, Photoshop, because Photoshop did all this for us. So basically the main takeaway is the table. Table is how you frame the website, right? And that we used tables back in the day in frames. So table had like rows and columns and sections, just like you guys are using sections and div tags. So table ID, watch this, width 1501, height 782. So I can go here at the end, right? And put align equals center. Now, you're not going to get away with this for Felicia's class, by the way. Felicia wants you guys to do his real code for a responsive design. But this is good for mock-ups, for you to do a thing about your clients and stuff. So if I put align equals center, and look this, BG, actually, I'll put the BG color here. BG color, FFFF, I'll put 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, right? Am I right? Black? Right? 0, 0, 4, 6 zeros, right? Hexacode. So I changed the color to black and I did minimal code. This is what we taught I taught this 20 years ago with my graphic design students building websites because they didn't want to do any HTML. This is all they had to learn to build a quick little website. And of course, to put the links and stuff too. So we did all this and we just went Command S. We close this window and we open up the file now and voila, centered, background's black, all looks like a real website. And then we would even do the links, believe it or not, and make it feel like a website, work like a website. The only thing is it's not responsive, right? That's why you guys are learning the good stuff because you can make it responsive and do all these things. But for presentation, to kind of pitch it to a client, it's not a bad little, it still works still today. Because how else will you show somebody a website, especially if they're across, another country or something? So you can actually serve this up on your server. You can use GitHub or something, right? Or maybe invest in a server, upload a website, put an index file with the images folder, done, okay? Now, for you guys, with what you're learning right now, this might not help you in that way. So I'm not going to push this too much and say, you got to do this because there's no point. This is just for you to know because this is still good knowledge to have. What I want to show you for you guys now is this. I'm going to use my other example here. Let's say you want to convert this into a website, right? Forget slicing, right? You asked a good question. Do we have to slice the website? So no, this tool, I'll tell you right now, if it's not useful, why is it still there? Why didn't they totally disband it? Or sometimes, tools go like, obsolete, let's say, right? So instead of slicing, what I'm going to do now is show you how to do the more modern way of exporting these image assets, okay? And the way to do that is through layers. So when you layer manage your website, over here, it's going to double click on the properties. This is why I want you to put everything inside containers so it's easier to manage. So we're going to focus on the body and the header, right? Let's say I want this image here to be exported with that exact width and height for me to place it in my own container in my carousel that I have with the JavaScript and CSS and HTML. I want to export this because I need the graphics, right? So this thing here that we exported, this image, right? You can basically, I think I locked it by accident here. There we go. Right? So this image, right? You can still you do your maneuvering, positioning, and all that. To export it from my website, first you should save it. So I'm going to go File, Save As. Save it again to make sure it's in the same place. Wherever this is saved is where the image assets will be exported for you to put inside your real website. So I'm going to save this again, image placements 2, let's say, PSD onto the desktop, okay? So save it as a Photoshop file. So this is what you're going to be doing for your projects for this class. This is the real deal right here, okay? So you save your design, and then you do your image assets. The way you organize them is you click on the image, you identify it. Now this image, if you're doing placement holders, like some of you like, then you do the placement holder. This is the placement holder for the image because the image is placed inside, right? Sorry, clipping mask, right? So if that's the case, then you double click on the rectangle here and you do your image optimization there instead of slicing. So you're going to call it carousel. It's probably spelled carousel wrong. Carousel.png. Now, if you just leave it at that, it'll be a 24-bit PNG file. If you want to put 8, you put PNG 8. But just choose PNG, okay? So if you just call this the file name .png, it's going to export as that with the next step I'm going to show you. Watch this next one. This will be a JPEG, right? This image here. Again, this is a clipping mask. So I'm going to double click on the rectangle that holds that image. I'm going to double click on the rectangle and call this, now be very SEO friendly, right? So if it's like a website with products, call it, Prada shoes or something. Prada shoes .jpg, which is JPEG. Okay, so you're renaming the file whatever you want it to be. If you want it to be 90% JPEG, by default, it's going to be 90%, which is great. You don't have to put percentages. But if you want to make 50% JPEG, you put JPG 50. I'll give you a list of array of commands you can follow. I don't expect you to remember this. So I'm going to give you a link that explains all these things, okay? I'll give you some literature for this. Right now, I'm just demonstrating how you can practically apply this. So .jpg is for JPEG. Let's do the next one. Now, the thing is this. You got to do it one at a time. For this one, it's easy because it's together. I use the frame tool. Remember the frame tool I showed you earlier? For this one, you do the same thing. We'll call this lightning .jpg. Okay. Again, I'm putting the extension. Please don't mess up that part because if you screw up the extension, the file won't work. It'll be JJP, right? You got to put JPEG, JPG. This other one here, same thing. We'll call this dirty shoes.jpg. This one here will be bike tire.jpg. This one here will be more shoes.jpg. Does that make sense? Is this easier? This actually might be easier than slicing, right? And this is, believe it or not, the more modern way to do it. So now let's go to this one here now. So we did this one. Yeah, we did this one. We did that one. We did that one. Let's do this one now. More shoes. This one we'll call it. So this has a container. So we're gonna call it girl.jpg. Okay. And this last one here is the lighthouse. So we'll call it lighthouse.jpg. Did I miss one? I think I did all of them, right? So based on how you do this is how you name the file extensions. So be careful, like, you'll, even if you mess it up, you can go back and fix it. It's not like carved in stone. You can go back and double click and read. Just remember, when you double click, you got to do it on the name of the layer. You can't double click here because you can open up the layer style panel, right? So what you want to do is you want to click on the actual name of the layer, right? So now, what do you think? Magically, those files will just show up? Where are those pictures going to go now? Where are these images going to go? Oh, and let's say you want to do shapes. Let's say you want to do, where's this one here? Shapes. Let's say you want to do the footer. Let's say you want to do like just a graphic, like a solid color elements, like the footer here. Let's say you want to do the footer. Then you call it, footer. PNG or something. So this way it'll give you a PNG export of that exact graphic, right? The color and everything. So now what? We always save the file again. When you save the file, it saves the file with the proper name and the nomenclature of the file extensions and stuff. So when you go save it now, right? Here's the big ticker right here. This is the big eureka light bulb moment. You ready? You go to File, Export. Oh, sorry. They moved it on me. 1 second here. Image assets. Generate plugin. Oh, okay. So they moved it under generator image assets now. So I'm gonna go use that automate feature. Image assets. Should be image assets here. Do you remember, Abdullah? I wasn't here, right?
It used to be on that generated, export generated.
Yeah, it was right here before. It used to be right here. It used to be like right in this menu. I guess the new release of Photoshop, they moved it under the plugin option. So they want to make it a little more difficult for us, I guess. Let's see if I do package. Let me see if it's under the package here. Okay, here. So file, automate, right? Wow, look at this. You ready for this one? It's a long haul. You got to go to automate now. They moved it on us, okay? So we got to be a little vigilant here. Automate, generator plugins. And I hope that works because now I'm thrown off myself because I just got the new 2025 version. I'll be honest with you, I never did this since the last version. So sometimes it throws us off too, even though we did this for the past 5 years, right? So let's do this one here. Let's trust the developers that they did their part. When you activate this, it should be on. So I'm gonna go double check. Oh, it's on. See the check mark? That means it's activated. Once it's activated, that means Photoshop automatically will go, okay, the file is there. I'm going to generate the image assets in the same location. That's why I saved it again on the desktop. Or you save it in a folder, right? That means when you generate the image assets, when you activate it, it's going to save the files here. This is the folder, okay? So let's open this folder and see if that's true. So if I open this folder now, ladies and gentlemen, here's our files. Bike tire JPG, carousel, PNG, dirty shoes JPG, footer, girl JPEG, lighthouse JPG, Prada shoes JPG, more shoes JPG, lightning, and they're all sized accordingly. How cool is that? Right? All you do later is you dump those images into your website. So now your images are ready to go in your developed website that you're going to make based on your prototype. Okay. So what it does is it not only optimizes the images, it puts the right dimensions and everything for you. How big is this whole folder for your website? 1.7 megabytes, okay? Because it does have a little file. I guess because I think I did some of the other ones bigger. Let's see. This is, yeah, 100 megs. This one's a lot. This one's almost a megabyte. This one here. This was like the big file. So if you want to tone this one down a bit, you can. I could have made this, JPEG instead of PNG. It's 900K. So when you want to go back, you can change it. Watch this now. So let's say this is the big one. I don't want to waste a megabyte on this file. It's a PNG. I'm going to change this to a JPEG. How I'm going to do that? Please don't do this and put JPEG here. I've had to hack files before and change extensions, and for some reason it works. But what you want to do is go back to the Photoshop file, click on your target here. So instead of carousel PNG, you call it JPG. So once you do that, automatically it generates it. You understand? It's communicating live. So once you change this to JPG, look what happens. When I go back to my folder, automatically this becomes JPG. Automatically, you see? Because that thing's on the check mark. Remember, automate, generate. This is like a special thing, okay? It's connecting, communicating remotely to your desktop. So whatever you're doing, it's like a server, like an online server. When you make an update, it updates the website. This updates your image assets. So basically this now is a JPEG. And guess what? We shrunk the size quite a bit by 1/3. It's 300K instead of 900K. So now the whole image export sequence here of images that we have, the folder is 1 meg, okay? I think it's still kind of lagging from the other ones here. 86. This one is 2 bytes. This one is 100K. This one is 99K. Yeah, it should be less than that. I think it just hasn't updated yet, but it should be yeah, about a meg. Again, a megabyte for a website, it's not a lot, right? Okay, so this is what you want to do for my project. So if I go here and go through everything that I just explained to you guys, when I go to our folder here, the main projects, okay? Your website design prototype project, okay? So when I say generation of image assets, this is what I meant for that. What I did just now is this part here. So layer masks, this is just stuff you learned before. Image placement methods is what I demonstrated again today. Grayscale wireframe mockup is what we did last Wednesday. Remember, we did the grayscale thing. High fidelity complete mockup showing the navbar log. This is just the design portion. Generation of image assets is what I just did right now. Now, Photoshop format is what you're going to give me, zipped and everything. The mobile conversion size to most current devices. This is something I still have to cover. We're going to cover this on Monday, okay? So this I'm going to just do like a mobile design. Honestly, it's just a resized version, okay? So I'll do that next time. Right now, I'm sure you have your hands full already. Just work on your design, okay? Work on your Photoshop stuff. And this image export stuff, do it later. And we'll do the mobile conversion on Monday. Then we're also going to start the animation on Wednesday. And then we have another 2 classes after that. So we're good. Animation is the last part of this class. And it should take us 1 or 2 lessons for that. And this is the main thing I wanted to make sure we're on top. This is just an example, of course, of what I gave you. And this is due right up till the end of the semester. So you have 2 weeks for this one, okay? And if you need help, I'm here, okay? I'm not gonna go anywhere now. That was just something I had to do. And now I'm back, so, we can get this done. Yeah. Oh, good question. Good question there. So let's say we have text, okay? The text is text. Photoshop now. So let's say I do have some text here on my carousel banner here. I'm gonna draw a text box, actually. I'm gonna put some text in here, and maybe I'll do some lorem ipsum. Right? Oh, there we go. There's some text right here, right? The lorem ipsum text. Let's have some. Can you guys see the text there? Right? I got some text going on here as part of my design, right? I want to make sure it looks like a real website, because if I show you some templates out there from Photoshop, these things are dressed up right to the buttons and the details and stuff. And if I was to do that, I have to spend like maybe 6 hours doing it. But you get the idea. You can put all the little details if you want. Now, what do you do with text? Well, here's what you do. You select the text layer from Photoshop. Let's say you want to let's investigate first. How this is Myriad Pro, which let's use Arial because Arial is a very popular font for as a substitute. We're gonna left align Arial 36 points, and the color will be, let's do like an off-white. It's like an off-white color, so it's not really white. It's an off-white. Here's the hexacode. EA down here. So here's what happens now. When you have the layer selected, right? And you go up here under layer, you can copy the CSS. You can copy the Photoshop text style into CSS. So that means when you go to your website, and you put that image placement and you go to that text, you can just copy the CSS code. You might have to change the ID tag or whatever it is and just put it in there. But let me just show you quickly how that works by opening the Brackets app. Doing here. Look, paste. I just copied that. Arial, 36 points. Color, RGB, line height, align, position, left, right, top, index. So it copies the whole CSS code for you from Photoshop into your code editor. So it's kind of meant for that stuff, and you can definitely use. Don't forget, this stuff was out before the Figma and the XDs and all that stuff, eh? Because we used to use Photoshop and HTML, CSS together. The prototyping is nice. I don't mind the Figmas and the XDs and stuff. It's just a different concept. It's a different way of configuring prototyping. But when it comes to actually building the website, you should consider this way because you can export your image assets directly to the development phase and make a website out of it, right? So that's pretty much the flow. Yeah. And the Photoshop file, the design. But show me that you know how to do the image assets too. So basically everything I did today is what you're going to do for your project. Don't worry about I don't need, this is because you asked me the question. I answered it to you, right? You don't have to do the CSS export. Oh, no, if it's text, leave it alone. What's going to happen though, you know, it's another good question you may have raised actually. I'm going to actually show you that too. Let's say you want to export the image assets with the text. Sometimes there's images on the internet with text on the image, like the memes that you see on social media, right? There's text on images. So sometimes it's better, it's faster. You don't have to necessarily overlay text on top of image in code all the time. So let's say that's the case, right? So then we go back to Photoshop. Let's say I wanted this to be a one item thing, right? I don't want this to be separate and that separate. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and do Shift select all three layers, and I'm going to group them. I'm going to press Command G, so they become one group basically, right? And that group contains the image, the placement, and the text. So I'm going to rename this now. And I'll call it hero image dot jpg. Okay, so hero image dot jpg is what I called this. Look what happens instantly because this is, look, it's still checked on. This little check mark means it's communicating live with my desktop. So whatever I do from this point on, it saves it automatically. So if I go here now, you're going to notice two different images. You're going to notice one that looks like this. The original one, and the one I just did to exemplify the text with the image together is a group that I saved as a JPEG. So whatever you do, automatically it produces the graphics for your website, right? So you can then pull this up and plug it into your website. Whatever you have to do, you can work simultaneously with the both files. So you can just plug these images into your website sources and you're good. So now you got your HTML, your CSS, your JavaScript, and you got your images, you plug them all in. because you need images, right? How else are you going to do images? You're going to resize them? You're going to force them to stretch? No, you optimize them in Photoshop. Okay, it's a lot faster. Even the Figmas and all that, they're okay, but you still have to export it from Figma into HTML. How do you take Figma into HTML? Right? How do you do it? I've seen plugins, but they're not perfect. They're glitchy. So you could kind of, this would substitute your real method of exporting that. So one more thing, let me just give you this one master link. I hope it still works because it's an older method that they used. I'm going to copy and paste it probably in your course here. So this, I was supposed to do this on Monday with you because I couldn't make it on Monday because my flight delayed and I had to leave a day late. That's why I'm doing this today. So we're doing like a makeup class today /lab, okay? So now the sources that I want you guys, generating image assets link right here, okay? So if you click on this link right here, it'll teach you how to do all these things in there's another link, okay, a link and a link, okay? So click on this link. Yes, it's still there. Perfect. So this explains everything that I just went over in greater detail. Generating image assets from layers or groups. Look at this. Look, it tells you JPEG, PNG, GIF, or SVG. Sorry, I forgot that one. So if you have like a logo, like a vector file, you can do sv.svg. It'll export the logo from Photoshop, right? So if you have like a logo from Illustrator, you copy and paste SVG, right? Look, GIFs. And look, it tells you how to do that. It goes through everything, guys, right? Look, subfolder, or you can make a subfolder /ellipse. If you want to make subfolders, you can write a name, put a slash, and the file name. It makes a subfolder. So that's something, this is, again, not necessary, but if you want to, look, here's an example too. So here's the 50% JPEG. So if you put 5, 1 to 10, or 1 to 100%, 5 means medium quality, 50% means the same thing. So you can, I like percentage because it gives you the percentage of the JPEG quality. Yeah, everything's here. I mean, I didn't have to take this past this step here, but if you guys have to go take this further, generating image assets from layers, this is the newest, biggest thing Photoshop did for the web designers out there was relay for, because like how we use Photoshop for a web, this was the biggest kind of gap that was merged by generating the image assets and optimizing them for web. Because look, it affects your SEO, it affects Google searches, it affects your websites, bandwidth, speed, all these things. If you don't do it properly this way, your websites might look good, but what's the point if it takes too long to load, right? So this is why even today it's important that you optimize all the images properly. Okay, so everything is in your class here. Like I said, next class will be Monday, okay? I'm gonna do this virtually with you, of course. There'll be no more disruptions. And what I'm gonna do is show you how to convert this to a mobile version, okay? We'll do like a mobile version of the website. It's quite easy, actually. We just do a new artboard and resize everything. And then I'll get into the animation part on Wednesday. So we'll do another class on Wednesday. And then the following Monday, we'll do another animation class. And Wednesday, we'll just wrap things up. Okay. We can do like maybe have a little party or something. I don't know. Hang out here, eat chocolates or whatever, right? The holidays are approaching. All right. So I'm going to stop the recording. I hope you guys had fun as always. Again, my apologies about missing Monday, but better that I'm here now. We covered it all here in class. So it's good. Watch those 2 videos, please. I did give you those videos just in case this happened. I kind of saw it happening already. So please watch those videos. And today's video kind of recapped everything together. So I hope it helped you. If you have any questions, I'm always here. Show up in person on Wednesday so I can help you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. All right. So bye for now. Have yourself a great week ahead.